When we started producing historical videos, our goal was to research each subject and try to come as close as possible to the real thing. We never use actors. We try to get original photos and places to make it as real as we can. This time we've stepped it up a notch. I'd like to introduce you to the real thing, not just old photos. Meet the lawman, Wild Bill Hickok. Bill was sheriff of Hays City, Kansas, where he killed several men. And in 1871, he became Marshal of Abilene, where he again killed several men, including accidentally killing his own deputy. Bill himself was killed from behind on August the 2nd, 1876 in Deadwood, South Dakota. Now this is Calamity Jane, who claimed to be a close friend and lover of Bill Hickok. It was doubtful if Bill even knew her because he had only been in Deadwood a few weeks before he was killed. This is Robert Leroy Parker, better known as Butch Cassidy. He was one of the smartest, most successful outlaws in Western history. This is Butch entering Wyoming State Prison in 1894. And this is Butch in Fort Worth, Texas in 1900. At the same time that Butch was in Fort Worth, so was his friend Harry Longabaugh, the Sundance Kid. Now 1 year later in 1901, this was Sundance in New York City, on his way escaping to South America with his beautiful Etta Place. Little is known about Etta, except she went to South America with Sundance as her husband and Butch as her brother. You're looking at a young Jesse James, probably around 16 years old, when he joined his brother Frank to ride with a Confederate guerrilla band. Now this is Jesse when he was robbing banks in his heyday. This is Jesse's older, more mature brother Frank, who lived through the turmoil without ever serving a day in prison. You're now looking at John L Sullivan, known as the first heavyweight champion bare-knuckle fighter. I shook hands with the man who shook hands with John L Sullivan. And now I wish to introduce you to General Ulysses S. Grant, who will later become the 18th President of the United States. Meet the most respected U.S. Deputy Marshal in Judge Parker's court, Bass Reeves. Now meet a friend of Bass Reeves, the outlaw lady Belle Starr. If Belle gave her word, she kept it. She once promised Bass that she'd turn herself in at Fort Smith to Judge Parker, and she did. Now this is the judge that she turned herself into, known as the hanging judge, Isaac C. Parker. Parker had 79 criminals hung. Say hi to Colonel George Armstrong Custer, but make it fast because he's on his way to the Little Bighorn to make a name for himself and the 7th Cavalry. This is one of the most famous lawmen in the West, Wyatt Earp. He was famous for the shootout at the OK Corral, along with a friend of his, Doc Holliday, who more than likely fired the first shot that started the whole thing. No other name in the Old West struck terror in the hearts of settlers and soldiers alike than Geronimo. This warrior was unrepentant when it came to getting revenge. This is General Nathan Bedford Forrest, the general that General Lee said was the best general that he had, and they had never met face to face. This is Charles Goodnight, whom the character Captain Woodrow Call in Lonesome Dove was patterned after. And this is Oliver Loving, that Augustus McCrae's character was patterned after in Lonesome Dove. This is the real Judge Roy Bean, who loved Lily Langtry and knew her only from a picture. He'd sometimes stop court so that the defendant could buy drinks for everyone. This is the Memphis hero that saved numerous lives from drowning when a paddle wheeler sank in the Mississippi River. Tom Lee Park in Memphis is named in his honor. And this is Jefferson Davis, President of the Confederate States of America.